This episode is sponsored by WeHaveMerch.com. WeHaveMerch.com. Prices starting at only $12.99. Sizes up to 6XL. 17 different shirt designs. Buy 2 shirts and get a bigger discount. Anybody that buys 3 shirts gets a 10-minute guest spot on Cool Kids Countdown. Buy one now. This episode is also sponsored by the following.
Glowing Hearts knows that you have a right to choose any in-home provider you wish. At Glowing Hearts, committed to caring isn't just a tagline, it's a promise to their clients, employees, and communities that they have the honor to service in Pemmican, Dunklin, New Madrid, Butler, Scott, Mississippi, Stoddard, Wayne, Bollinger, and Cape counties. For more information, contact Glowing Hearts at 844-390-3735 in Marston or 573-803-2716 in Cape Girardeau. Glowing Hearts, committed to caring.
Get ready, guys. Mark it on your calendar. Saturday, June the 23rd, Harrison, Arkansas, Youth Center. A big reminder is that Harrison, Arkansas is only 30 minutes south of Branson, Missouri, and only about an hour from Springfield, Missouri. I want you to join us at the Legends of Wrestling as we return to Harrison, Arkansas. That's right, guys. This is a family-friendly event to help a great cause. All the proceeds will go to Jake Boulder's Medical Relief. So who's going to be at the Legends of Wrestling? It's going to be Jerry the King Lawler, Superstar Bill Dundee, Tim Storm, Hall of Fame referee James Beard, Gary Graham, Matt Riviera, Space Cowboy Jason Jones, the Diamond Dogs, Mr. Saturday Night Michael Berry, and many more. You can get your tickets at www.mswtickets.com. Be there! Have you listened to episode 81? It's all that Alan Steele. If you're enjoying the Memphis and May episodes, you'll like this one also. That's episode 81. Here's a clip, and all the archives are at www.stspod.club. Talk about myself, so... we're going to touch on, we're going to touch on the your WWE stuff. I did a website, as you know, for 5 years, and,
right.
and a lot of people listen to this. Remember the website. Funny story about Alan. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do all the stuff that he was nominated for and what he won during that 5 years, and then I'm going to tell a funny story about Alan, which he probably don't even remember doing, but. You were nominated for a Rising, which is an award who deserves the WWE contract in 2006 and 2007. Most underrated in 2009. Part of the booking committee at NEW at 2009 also. These are all nominations. There also the Horizon Award in 2010. An MVP performer in 2010. You worked that whole year there in 2010, which I think most of the time was with NEW. You won Most Underrated in 2009, Booker in 2009 at NEW. Your rankings of the top 10 rankings in singles, you did 2006 8, 2007 6, 2009 8. 2010 number 3, and as you know, there's a lot of guys in this area. When we're talking about the top 10 guys, that was always awesome to see your name in there because I believed it more than anyone else did. At the end of the when I did the top wrestlers, you ended up number 11 of the 5 years, and I wrote one of the top performers in the area.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start the party.
In May of 2006, I started a website, WrestlingRiotOnline.com, where I covered the Memphis area wrestling scene. I decided to become the Dave Meltzer of the area and kayfabe nothing. I gave stars to matches, talked psychology, and gave gates of the shows. This had never been done, and it was a favorite side of many people, and some people just hated me. In May of 2011, after 5 years of posting, I shut the site down. I opened it again when we started the podcast back up and renamed it. But all the old information, guys, is still there. This month, to celebrate the site, we will be posting the Memphis in May series, with guests being some of the wrestlers of the Memphis series. Guys that were popular during the Wrestling Riot years. Sit back and relax and listen to our guests and enjoy Memphis in May. I want to welcome my guest. We're live from STS Studios in St. Louis, Missouri, and I have in the green room, he's coming from the green room, he had his requested vodka over there. I had to tell everyone that you requested vodka, Derrick. I'm sorry. I want to welcome my old buddy, Derrick King. How you doing, Derrick?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, man, we don't talk enough anymore. You know, ever since I quit doing the website, we just don't talk as much as we used to.
We all got busy lives now. Everything's different.
We actually work real shoot jobs now. That sucks, don't it?
You're right. They ruined my gimmick. I don't know how that
Sorry
happened.
about that. I didn't mean to. You know, we're not going to kayfabe here. So I bring people on that Shootin The Shiznit, it's all about someone that I don't know that I bring on and talk for 30 minutes, or someone I do know. And me and you have known each other for a long time. And you were, even though you don't want to admit this, you loved my website when it was out, and you hated it also. So it was a love-hate
exactly.
thing.
Right. I loved it when it was putting me over. I hated it when it was not putting my show over.
You know, one of the things that you said, Alan Steele, when I had Alan, we talked about a funny story, and I told Alan he was like one of the very few people that actually got it about the website. But I remember you being so pissed at me, and I had no idea why, and it was because two of your guys, and I want to say it was Golden Boy and Stan. They were supposed to have a match. I was supposed to be there live, and then when I canceled, they said, "Well, we're not going to go out and do what we were going to do. We're not going to go out and try to have the best match out there because BT's not out there."
Right.
And you were so mad.
Like, you're not wrestling for BT. We're wrestling for the people over here.
Right. And you was like, "I'm so mad at you." And I was like, "What for? I wasn't even at the show. Damn, come on, give me a break."
Because everybody lived by what that website said. It was like it was crazy. Because even I remember in Power Pro, and even in Osceola, they were like, "Did you see what BT said?" I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah. Memphis wrestling. We're getting off the subject before we even start, but I'm going to start at the very beginning. We're going to talk about you being part of Memphis Wrestling and Power Pro, and talk about a few things here. But I want to start at the beginning. Derrick, we all know by your name, Derrick King, and your gimmick. You was a huge wrestling fan growing up. So tell me about growing up in the Memphis area and the first memories that you can actually think about being a wrestling fan.
I just know early 80s. I know growing up in Memphis, Saturday morning wrestling was a religion. Everybody in Memphis watched it. My fondest memory, the first thing I can remember is the Assassins being on Memphis TV and Jimmy Hart. And I think also there was a situation with Andy Kaufman. My earliest remembers, I think Lawler burning Andy Kaufman and Assassins out there trying to, I can hear Lance Russell saying pandemonium. And then, they're all rolling around on the floor. that was like the first real memory I can remember of watching on television. But we went to the Coliseum, I would say 90% of the time, every Monday night pretty much. It was a very rare occasion that we missed a Monday night going to the Coliseum. So it was ingrained to me early. So it was I didn't think of it as an entertainment, but it was like must-see TV. We didn't leave the house from 11 to 12:30. We didn't leave. There was no leaving. That's what we did. And so we were glued to the TV, and I was glued and hooked. And, obviously growing up in Memphis, Jerry Lawler was the king. So you don't fall far from that. You're trying to – I followed it. It was like I never grew out of it. And so that's why, from early on, it's probably – 4 or 5 years old. That's why I love to watch.
You said you went to a lot of Coliseum matches, to the Coliseum a lot. I didn't even know that about you, Derrick. Tell us, who took you to the Coliseum? Because you're just a kid. How do you get to the Coliseum? Your uncle? My uncle took me every weekend. We lived in a town. In Memphis, we lived in a neighborhood called Glenview, so we could actually walk from Glenview. I've walked several times from my grandmother's house to the Coliseum, and then my grandfather and my dad's dad lived in Orange Mountain, which is literally, it's 2 blocks from the Coliseum. So there was no problem getting to the Coliseum on Monday nights. I can remember Coca-Cola having a promotional thing where you twist off the cap of the Coca-Cola and they say 2 free tickets to Monday Night Wrestling. And I was like, we buy every Coke product there was, So it was my family owned the store, so I would just go in there and just grab a Coke just to get the free, see if I get some free tickets. Wow, yeah. That's, going in, you're about 10 years younger than me. I think that's pretty much the age. So you're talking about, what year did you remember starting to go to the Coliseum?
Probably about 82.
Wow, yeah.
So, 82, I would think because that's when I can, some of my fondest memories of just going in there. We sat at the very top, and it was crazy. I'd never got to sit on the floor until later on when I went to going with my friends for myself. But we sat at the top, and it still was amazing to be just to be in the building. That was enough for me.
What is one of the matches that you can think of as a kid? I got a few that mine are a couple of mine are Flair and Lawler on television. Right. And I remember that was a big deal to me, and I've told the story before, but my friend's dad came in during this and turned the television off and said we weren't going to watch that fake-ass shit. There's one TV in the house. Ric Flair gets Jerry Lawler, and his dad finally leaves. And we get to watch the match, but, today I could go on YouTube and watch it 100 gazillion times.
Exactly.
That's one of my fondest memories and one of the greatest matches. And then just knowing every Saturday at 11 to 12:30, like you said, it was a religion, dude. Everyone wanted to be Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee when they grew up. So
exactly. I can remember going to I remember when Lawler came back, I want to say he was going for him. I don't know if it was the broken leg or not, but he came back and they had the lights go out and everything, and he came back and we waited. And when he ran to that ring and had a chair and was swinging, I was like, what is going on? It was just weird, like one of those kind of things, like everybody collectively at the same time was on the same page. It was that, and I can remember like Jimmy Hart and Lawler, Jimmy Hart in the cage, and Lawler and Jimmy Hart in the cage, and Lawler burning Jimmy Hart. I remember that. The loser leave town match with Jimmy Hart leaving to go to WWE. I just went to the Custom Auto Show that Saturday morning after TV, and that's when they had Knight Rider. They know they have big side of the car.
I've been to one of those. Yeah.
So they had Jimmy Hart, Eddie Gilbert, and Plowboy Frazier all there. And Jimmy Hart just put the flower on Lance Russell's head that morning. Oh, and wow. My stepdad was with me. He was like, you gonna pour some powder over somebody's head tonight? And, they laughed about it. Yeah, did you guys see that and all that kind of stuff? That's the last time I got to see Jimmy Hart before, because he left before that Monday night because he was already going to New York by Sunday, I guess. And now I know the backstory. But then but we were there that Monday night, and it was crazy, Jimmy Hart lost. Lawler won the Southern title. It was a crazy, those kind of, those matches, when Lawler got posted and got his head shaved, I was there.
Oh,
Hated,
wow.
was so mad. I don't even know how to explain how angry I was. And of course, May 9th, 1988, I was at the Coliseum to see Jerry Lawler Day. So it was I don't know, it was one of those kind of things, I was there, for a lot of those history-changing things in the Coliseum. Also, another fun memory is the new Fabs when they had Tommy Rich and Eddie Gilbert in the Fabs, which was pretty cool because they came out to Footloose, and I thought, man, you can hear Footloose so loud in that building. It was crazy.
Actually, a good team, a favorite team of mine. No one accepted them. The fans that was not going to accept the new Fabs, but I actually love what they ended up doing with those two guys. So you're growing up. I asked this question too to almost everyone. So when I can think of, I guess it was probably 85. So you're thinking, I think I'm going into high school. I'm going into my senior year of high school. And even though I think I knew it was a work, that, everything was a work, I never really knew how it worked until around that time. Did you ever say, I know this is not a work, or you wasn't in on the fix any, or at, what stage did you say this is, there's something different about this?
I just knew, I guess, like we used to wrestle in our backyards in the front yard or whatever. And, I think like I always say to a lot of people, I knew how to punch before I could actually wrestle. And, so I kind of knew how it worked that way, but I guess I didn't dwell on if I thought it was real or not real, or if they were working out. I didn't dwell on how they bled or anything like that. It didn't matter to me because my mom, mom was like, that fake stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever, I never had the argument with somebody about if it's real, if it's fake, because there's some stuff like, man, I don't know how because I got wrapped up in it. It's like a movie to me. It was like TV, like, you watching TV, like, well, it's just television, but I never dwelled on like, well, I'm not going to watch it because it's just TV. So I don't think I ever, because I started training at 16, so I don't know if I ever really knew really how it worked until I found out when I got the dirt sheets the first time, and I knew there was a loop. I never knew there was a loop. I just thought I didn't know they did the same thing in every town. And that was probably 93, 92, 93 when I found that out. So that was one of those kind of things like, oh, okay, now it's starting to come together. But other than that, I didn't.
WWE
I never
did that too. They did the same matches almost every night and in the only way, like you said, the dirt sheet. So what was your first dirt sheet? We're probably expecting the Observer, right?
Exactly, because I don't know if you know this. There's a lady that was on the Shawn Michaels video. She had a WWE tattoo. She was a blonde, but she's she's part of the cameo. She's got a cameo in that video, but like a Tell Me a Lie video or something like that. And so her mom sat in front of us. With me and my friends from high school when they sat in front of us, and they knew we came every week and all that kind of stuff. And then they were the ones who brought us the Observer the first time and showed us how it worked. And I was like, oh, okay, now So then I'm hooked, and I'm like, right, okay, right. I was like, oh, now I know how this works, and I'm kind of seeing how how it all played out. But then I was still hooked. It didn't matter to me because it's just like a magic trick. You learn the magic, you don't stop liking magic. So.
No, I think it made me a bigger fan at the time because I went to school thinking and went to college knowing if someone was talking about wrestling, I knew more. I always thought I knew more than they did.
Right.
Really didn't.
But we need the same boat.
Yeah. But I knew, which I talked with this one. I had Anthony Henry on, an independent wrestler, and we talked about one of the things that I was always excited. He was excited about, but I remember doing is knowing the wrestlers' real names. That was just awesome that the real names were in there. And then after you get in the business, you don't really ever call anyone by their real name.
By their real name. I don't know anybody I don't think I ever really used anybody's real name. And really and truly, I know I don't know half the guys' real names now. Like the guys that we work with now, I don't know their real name. I just know their wrestling name. And because they'll say like the Golden Boy, it took me forever to learn. I didn't know his real name. And then I was like, oh, obviously after working with them forever, it's like, okay, now I know who they are. Who these guys are because I just called them by their gimmick name and never thought about the real name, to tell you the truth. And then I guess you start seeing people every day, or, see them so much, their wrestling name begins to stick. Because I don't know how many people call me by my real name. Thank God my real name is Derrick. But, like, I hear a lot of DK more than I hear anything.
Right. Yeah, I think Rude is like one of the only guys that I call him by his real name, which is weird, but that's the only guy.
Right.
It's weird. I do call him by his Rude. Yeah. I remember yelling at Greg one time across the arena because we was doing something in Dyersburg, and I yelled Anthony, which is his first name, and for some reason that was like, man, don't do that. Don't do that. It's like, okay, dude, I just said Anthony, but it was really funny. He was kind of weirded out about me yelling Anthony. Okay, so let's take just a quick commercial, and then we'll come back. I want you to talk about your training.
Okay, no problem.
Glowing Hearts knows that you have a right to choose any in-home provider you wish. At Glowing Hearts, committed to caring isn't just a tagline, it's a promise to their clients, employees, and communities that they have the honor to service in Pemiscot, Dunklin, New Madrid, Butler, Scott, Mississippi, Stoddard, Wayne, Bollinger, and Cape counties. For more information, contact Glowing Hearts at 844-390-3735 in Marston or 573-803-2716 in Cape Girardeau. Glowing Hearts, committed to caring.
Get ready, guys. Mark it on your calendar. Saturday, June the 23rd, Harrison, Arkansas, Youth Center. A big reminder is that Harrison, Arkansas is only 30 minutes south of Branson, Missouri, and only about an hour from Springfield, Missouri. I want you to join us at the Legends of Wrestling as we return to Harrison, Arkansas. That's right, guys. This is a family-friendly event to help a great cause. All the proceeds will go to Jake Boulder's Medical Relief. So who's going to be at the Legends of Wrestling? It's going to be Jerry the King Lawler, Superstar Bill Dundee, Tim Storm, Hall of Fame referee James Beard, Gary Graham, Matt Riviera, Space Cowboy Jason Jones, the Diamond Dogs, Mr. Saturday Night Michael Berry, and many more. You can get your tickets at www.mswtickets.com. Be there! All right, we're back with Derrick King. Hey, let's talk about now. You said you started training at 16. I've seen some videos of something. Gosh, I want to think you were not much older than 16, and it was outside at a Kmart or something, and you're wrestling, and you're like one of the skinniest kids I've ever seen.
Right.
But you said you started training at 16. Who did you start training with?
Tony Myers actually trained me.
Awesome.
It was the craziest thing how it happened. I worked at Piggly Wiggly in Memphis, and all my buddies from high school, we all worked at the same Piggly Wiggly. So we would work, and people would come in and out there, and Tony Myers happened to walk in, and I go, I know that guy from that. That's one of those wrestlers from Channel 5. I was just we call it enhancement guys today. And I go, and I just went up to him. I said, hey, I saw you on TV, blah, blah. He goes, yeah. He goes, I have a school in Dixie, Arkansas. Ironically, I live 7 miles from Dixie, Arkansas right now. I live 7 miles from the actual place where I actually trained at. They tore the building down, but I was 7 miles from I can remember when we first moved over here, I was like, I trained right there at that building, the Dixie Dance Hall. Right. And so I went to training every Sunday. It was like it felt like 3 hours or so from Memphis. It felt like an eternity because it was like a buddy of mine, Jason Hodges from high school. He trained with me, and we were taking bumps in the back of this room, in one of those rooms in the Dixie Dance Hall. And David Webb would come over on some Sundays, and we would take bumps. I mean, I remember thinking, oh, my God, this ring hurts so bad because it was a ring they just put together, like they built themselves. I think it was like with I think those Polk, I want to say Freddie Polk or something like that. Those guys were all over there. So so I trained every Sunday. My mother made me pay for the training. Then it was $3,000 to train.
Wow,
And,
wow.
She made me pay for that. And so we in my first match, my school sent a whole bunch of like chartered a bus or something and got everybody together and came to watch one of my first matches over there. It was crazy. But it was a big deal. I mean, I can remember wearing, borrowing my other, because we put on a wrestling match at our school. So I remember borrowing my other buddy's tights, because we actually ordered tights from K&H Wrestling Wear. And I borrowed their tights, and I wear high-tech boots and some, like, shin guards over there. It was such a horrible outfit. And as I look back, I remember coming out to a Michael Jackson Scream, because I didn't know what kind of music to pick. I could never pick a song. So, it was all different. It was just, I was nervous, and I can just remember thinking, don't mess up. Don't mess up. That's all I can remember. But I trained for about, I want to say 6 or 8 weeks, like literally training, but then I was wrestling after that, pretty much wrestling.
Oh, wow. And you said, can you remember your first match, who it was against?
My first match, I want to say maybe against the Regulators, maybe. I think it was the Regulators.
I remember those guys, yeah.
I think it was those guys, and I was nervous as all get out.
Tony's a friend of the show. Me and Tony actually met because of Dave Meltzer and Observer, which is really funny. But I've known.
Oh, he was big time into the dirt sheets for sure.
Yeah. All right, so you're trained in the. I always look at your biggest, one of your biggest things that happened to you, and you'll probably, agree with me here, was guys like Randy Hales and Power Pro Wrestling and becoming. You started you're becoming Derrick King, or you're becoming a star in this area right there on Power Pro. Tell me how you got hooked up with Randy at the time, and how he picked you to be a major part of Power Pro.
It was crazy, because I was wrestling for Burt Prentice at Music City Wrestling, me and Terry Golden. And let me go backtrack here, because a couple weeks before Power Pro was getting started, I had already been on the road with Bill Dundee. So Dundee was like, well, Randy's we're going to take you to the casino. And I met Jerry Lawler for Blade Woodrow, and I met Jerry Lawler for the first time officially wrestling. And Jerry Lawler watched our match, which very rarely happens. And he goes, Randy Hales has got a show coming up pretty soon on Channel 5, so you guys might want to, try to get in touch with him. So Dundee had already, I guess, made inroads too, because I was in Music City one night, and coming back from Nashville, and I had to be at the show in Jonesboro because Randy Hales was going to be at the show in Jonesboro to see me wrestle. So I'm trying to hurry up and get back from Nashville, but I'm waiting on Jamie Dundee. This is my first mistake in the business. Waiting on Jamie, and Bill Dundee cussed me as soon as I got there. He goes, "You don't wait on Jamie. There, you have to be someplace. You leave in time enough to get to the show." So I got yelled at for the first time from Bill Dundee, but I met Randy Hales at that Jonesboro show. And then, Randy liked smaller guys to wrestle, because they moving and all that kind of stuff, more agile. So the next thing I know, I'm going to be doing Power Pro Wrestling. But he tells me there used to be a radio show that comes on Wrestling Talk, or some kind of wrestling show that used to come on Sunday nights. Talk show, and he had me do the talk show for the first time before the first week of before Power Pro started. And the next thing, here I am. The night before Power Pro was going to go on the air on Channel 5, it was supposed to be Lawler and Idol in a match in Humboldt, Tennessee, and it ended up being Lawler and Dundee against me and Billy Travis, because Austin Idol wasn't there. I was like, oh my God. And I thumbed Jerry Lawler in the eye the first 2 times I locked up with him. I go, this is it. My career's over. I can't. And I was like, because Dundee had put in the words for me and all that stuff. Right. And at the time, my claim to fame was taking backdrops. So I could take these huge backdrops, and they were, they knew they had a kid that can take bumps, and that's the reason why I was in there. So it was quite a start to Power Pro. And then Randy Hales, obviously pushed me to the moon, made me, I would be remiss if I didn't say this. David Milliken's actually the guy who really first started pushing me in AWA after I had started training. And he was the first guy who actually used me. And then next thing you know, Randy Hales was, the guy who put me on television. And created the Derrick King Mr. Personality. So there I became I became a Memphis legend, I guess.
There you go. Tell it, because there's going to be people all over the world listening to this. I love that gimmick, by the way. I in my mind, I think someone could do it again today, do it a little different, with different wrestlers. But I actually love the gimmick. So tell us about Mr. Personalities.
And Mr. Personality originated because I had it originated in AWA because I did a thing where I took Danny B. Good's outfit.
All right, Derrick, before we go any further, we're going to have some old people that listen to this show like me, and you keep saying AWA, and they're going to think you work for Vern Gagne. So I just want you to... So go ahead and tell them what the AWA was. So
AWA was a show that they did in Brighton, Tennessee, that David Milliken booked in Brighton, Tennessee. They ran every other Saturday, and they just used the call letters. I think it was American Wrestling Alliance, and but they David Milliken, for those who know, is the guy who makes the belts and all that stuff for WWE and UFC and all that stuff. So big. He has every memorabilia there is to know the man, from jackets to crowns to belts. So he had a show that he ran every other Saturday, and I got really the first time I ever got a push or ever got an angle or anything was all there, and I actually had an angle with Danny B. Good, so we did the deal where I stole his outfit, and I came out dressed as him. And then the next couple of weeks, I came out dressed as Shawn Michaels. So then Bill Dundee had seen the gimmick in AWA. So then when we were trying to come up with a name for me, what I would do on TV, and so they suggested this gimmick where I'd come out as a different wrestler every week, and then Mr. Personality was born. I came out as I had a Jeff Jarrett outfit, I had a Lawler outfit, a PG-13 outfit,
I don't remember
the Shawn Michaels outfit.
I don't remember PG-13. Good God.
Well, here's the reason. We couldn't do PG-13 on TV because they didn't work there, and I think they had heat with Dave Brown or something. So they had
not PG-13.
Because I was gonna go and wrestle. I mean, I was going to be called DK Ice, and I had these shorts and everything, but we never could do it because they. And I think Jamie was doing the Jerry Springer stuff too, so we were trying to stay away from that. So that never materialized on TV. But I did do DK Ice in Brighton, and I also did it in Jackson. Now we worked for Bill Dundee on some spot shows.
Right. Okay. Awesome. I remember.
So the gimmick was born.
So I remember Shawn Michaels. I remember that being, and the thing about that gimmick is, you could still do jobs almost every match and you'd still be over. I mean, exactly. It wasn't like you cared whether Mr. Personalities won or lost. The thing was that I watched the show just to see what the hell you're going to come out as.
Right. And I can just remember going through different. It became expensive because I had to come up with these outfits and, have to figure out how to get this stuff done. But it was fun to do because I just got to imitate wrestlers. Obviously my favorite was to do Jerry Lawler, and the week I came out as Jerry Lawler, he wasn't there. So this was great. So he wasn't there. So I got to do the gimmick and drop the strap and, drop the fist drop. And I didn't wear knee pads because he didn't wear knee pads. But if you ever go back and watch it, I dropped the knee, and my knee, I was like, oh my God, I got up and grabbed my knee first. It hurt so bad. And I was like, if I'm on live television, you can't stop. But that was, that was the fun part about it. But you got to keep on going, right?
With Power Pro, and you kind of really starting to, turn into a guy that's just a bump guy to turning into a good worker. Who do you think helped you the most with that? And when did it just say, okay, it just started clicking, you understanding everything, when to put, because I've sat and watched you go over just very little and then go out. The best person was Austin Lane one night. You guys didn't go over a lot of stuff, and I understand psychology, and I've said this to some wrestlers before. I understand it sometimes better than wrestlers do, but right. I don't. When it gets to a certain point, I don't get it. I can't put that part together. I can't put down all the false finishes, I couldn't put all that together. When did you start saying, hey, I know what the hell I'm doing, or who helped you learn that part of the business? Because that puts you from point A to point B to point. I mean, if you don't get that, you will never understand the business.
Right, and I think being around Bill Dundee, Don Bass, Jimmy Valiant. I was on the road with with Jimmy Valiant and Bill Dundee a lot. So just seeing how they were putting together, just listening to stories and how matches were done, and and really mimicking some of the matches and going, okay. And then I don't know exactly what day I woke up and said, oh, this is how it works. But I just it started coming natural to me, because my job to me on television was to go have the best match. And but to go out there and do, okay, this makes sense. Let's do this. Let's come back to this. Let's go. And then just start, and the more you work, the more you were, I often think the more, polished guys or seasoned guys you wrestle, the better you become. And I was getting to wrestle, a lot of decent guys, and not to mention Blade and I and Alan Steele and I and all those kinds of guys. We were coming up together. So, you were with these guys in the car a lot. So Blade and I would come up with matches and scenarios and stuff like that to do, and then just go out there and do it, and it just never came to me like, oh, okay, all this stuff is starting to work out. But then I can remember watching Rockin' Randy. Randy Rocket, excuse me. There's a Rockin' Randy, but there's a Randy Rocket. And it makes it so crazy how that sounded. Watching Randy Rocket and this guy named Shaw Williams have a match, and it was all about headlock takeovers. And they had the people with the headlock takeover. I mean, they went back to the headlock takeover. And that's when I started knowing, okay, they went back to it. Look how long they worked it. It just started making sense to me. And then having Bill Dundee tell me, see how this works? This is why they do this. This kid needs to be doing this, or this, psychology-wise, this is why. And then you just start putting it together. And then once, I started booking and stuff like that, I started, it just made sense. It was like, oh, I got it. I
remember the first time when I started actually learning psychology, and then I would I'd go back and watch older matches to see what they did different than the newer ones.
Right.
And then let's pick apart this match and why did he do that instead of that, and just and then when I would do matches or help the guys that I was working, I would give them the start and let them come up to the finish, and then I would tell them when to make the hot tag and all that kind of stuff outside the ring when I was managing them.
Right.
But I was just, a mark for the actual psychology was what I really got into. Derrick, we ain't even covered a lot, but we're almost out of time for this episode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to promise everybody I'm going to bring you back. But I got one. Let's end it with one question, because I know you stayed in this area, in the Dyersburg, Memphis, Jonesboro area almost your whole career. And I've been told many times Derrick would rather be a big fish in a small pond instead of a small fish in a big pond. And you're one of those guys that I even mentioned you on the Kenny Bolin show to Kenny. You're one of those guys that we always thought would be in the WWE. What do you think? Can you say why you're not in the WWE, or is it true you'd rather be, the big guy in the Memphis area and not worry about the politics and everything in the WWE?
I think my biggest problem would be I wanted all my friends to go with me. I didn't want to have to redo all that. I wouldn't mind being on the road and all that kind of stuff, but you got to realize I had the freedom. I was booking my own show. I was working everywhere. And so that would have cut out, and my life would have been totally different, not to mention like being at home sometimes, but Right. It wasn't like I didn't want to go, but it's just that, when a lot of different avenues were taking you different places, you just did, it just never felt for me like, okay, I need to be in WWE. I just figured I was already doing half that stuff anyway. So I didn't, so if they called and offered me a job, of course I would say, yeah, but that relocation and trying to figure out what, I don't know if I was ready for that. Like I said, I was already on all their shows, OVW, Memphis Wrestling, I was doing dark matches for them, so I was really doing all that stuff too. It's just that I just never, I was still a small guy. Also, in that same time, I was still not the biggest guy on the show.
There you go.
So it's just a different time.
It was a different time. I mean, if you was just getting started out now, they wouldn't care how you're actually bigger than some of those guys. I want to quickly
right, exactly. It's been different than.
I want to quickly go over one quick thing before we actually get off with this episode. You were a huge part of my website, and everyone said I was Derrick King's boy. And I mean, I got a lot of flack. You was the best worker in the area, and I'll say it now. You're the best worker in the area. But here was your wins on the website. So you was Wrestler of the Year in 2006, TV Match 2007, Arena Report Match 2007, Wrestler 2007, Team 2008, Wrestler 2008, TV Match 2010. You ranked 1, 2, 3, and 4 in all those years. And as a tag team, you and Stan, which we hadn't even said one word about, but you and Stan in 2006, 8, and 10 were all ranked in the tag team, number 2 in 2008. And here's what I said about you. And the final, probably the final entry, one of the final entries of the website, what can it be said about a guy who won Wrestler of the Year for 3 years in a row? He is indie wrestling in this area. He has also helped more guys in the area than most would ever imagine. He also helped this site with popularity in the early days by just having him represent it as Wrestler of the Year. Derrick King, you deserve this, my friend. I wished you had a WWE contract so you could actually make money in this business. So,
my God. See, there's a shrine to Derrick King's out there somewhere.
There we go. Hey, guys, Derrick, thanks for joining us. Thank you guys for listening.
Anytime.
And you guys remember, same bad time, same bad channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Love my mama. Be there. Thank you, Derrick.
No problem.
Hey, thank you for joining us live from STS Studios in St. Louis, Missouri. And that was another great episode of Shootin' The Shiznit. A big thank you to Bob McGee at Pro Wrestlers Between the Sheets, PWBTS.com. Locals to Legends, Gene Jackson at www.localstolegends.com. Sean Garmer over at W2Mnet.com. Guys, we're at Comic Book Mark BT on Twitter, at BT Shootin' The Shiznit on Instagram. You can send a PayPal. That's right, a PayPal at Brian_Tramel, Tramel, at yahoo.com. All the archives are on our www.stspod.club page. That's right, Cool Kids Wrestling and MMA Talk Facebook group. You can join that and talk about wrestling. If we don't like you, we'll kick you out. There's also a Shootin' The Shiznit Facebook page where we actually post all the new episodes. Remember, you can listen to this episode and many more on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, Pop Paradise, and Spreaker. And finally, a shout out to our podcast bros: Suplex City Limits, Creative Control, Who's Right Podcast, P3 Radio. And guys, remember, keep it at 100. Patreon site is only $1. Help my buddy JoJo out there. Only $1. Join us next week for another great episode of Shootin' The Shiznit.